Good morning Year 2, welcome back after half term. I hope you've all had a lovely break and have really rested and had lots of fun, and I'm sure you've all eaten lots of pancakes too on Pancake Day. So our new topic this term is called Wriggle and Crawl. So we're going to be learning lots about mini beasts and where they live, so the habitats, as we go throughout this term. So our English lessons are going to be all about insects and mini beasts. Okay, so to start off with then, today's lesson, I would like you to write the date and skill into your book, please. So the date today is Monday, the 22nd of February 2021, and your skill is to identify the features of a diary entry. So I'd like you to write that in your book now, please, and then unpause the video when you're ready to begin today's lesson. Okay, let's have a look at our starter then. Underline the adjectives in the sentences. So we've just come back from half term, so I know we've done lots of work on adjectives, but we're just going to refresh our memory to get back into it. So what is an adjective, and can you think of any examples? So I'd like you to pause the video and discuss this with the person next to you or grown up, or have a little think on your own. Okay, off you go please. Okay, well done if you said this then. An adjective is a describing word. For example, small, large or quiet, and I'm sure you've come up with lots of other examples of adjectives too. So I would like you to write this sentence into your book. So the sentence says, the beautiful butterfly fluttered its colourful and delicate wings. I'd like you to write this sentence into your book, please, and then using either a pencil or a coloured pencil, it's up to you, you can choose, I would like you to underline the adjectives, so remember the describing words that are in this sentence. Now, just a little hint, there is more than one adjective in this sentence, so I'd like you to pause the video and do that now, please. Okay, well done then. So the beautiful butterfly fluttered its colourful and delicate wings. What words were the adjectives? Well done, we've got beautiful, colourful and delicate as the adjectives in that sentence. The next one then, the fuzzy stripy bee landed softly on the petal of a pink flower. So, what are the adjectives in this sentence? Write this sentence into your book and underline the adjectives now, please. Okay, so we have fuzzy, stripy and pink. Now, remember, softly is a tricky one because softly is an adverb, okay? Soft is an adjective, but softly is an adverb because it describes the verb. It's describing how the bee has landed, okay? So it's not landed quickly, it's landed softly, okay? So that is an adverb and not an adjective. The next sentence then, the wriggly caterpillar slowly crawled up the long stem. So I'd like you to write this sentence into your book, please, underline the adjectives and then unpause the video when you're ready to get the answer. Okay, let's see then. The wriggly caterpillar slowly crawled up the long stem, and we've got wriggly and long as our adjectives. And remember, slowly is an adverb because it's describing how the caterpillar is crawling. Okay, so our adjectives are just wriggly and long. So give yourself a tick for each one of those that you've got right, please. Well done, Year 2. This week then, we are going to be writing a diary entry from the perspective of a spider. So we're going to be reading a book tomorrow, and we're going to be, over the next couple of weeks, we are going to be writing our own diary entries as a spider. So we're going to be pretending we're spiders and writing as a spider. Okay. Today we are going to be learning about the features of a diary entry and reading an example of a diary entry too. So we have already looked at diary entries in term 2, so just refresh your memory. What is a diary entry? Why would we use a diary entry? I'd like you to pause the video and discuss this question now, please. Okay, a diary entry is a form of recount in which the writer explains what has happened to them, okay? And the writer is going to be a spider this week, so you're going to pretend you're all spiders and writing your own diary entry. So what do you think are important features of a good diary entry? So think back to term 2 when we wrote a diary entry as Alice in Wonderland, didn't we? And think back to when we wrote that diary entry. What features did you include? How did you make your diary entry really, really good then? What did you include to make it amazing? What features did you use? Pause the video and discuss this question, please. Okay, so hopefully you've got some features in mind then. If not, if you're struggling to remember a few of them, then we're going to have a look through this example now of a diary entry, and hopefully this will jog your memory and you'll be thinking, oh, I know some of the features now. Okay, so first of all, we're going to read it through and then we're going to point out the different features. Okay, so so just listening carefully for now then. Sunday, the 2nd of February 2020. Dear Diary, yesterday I went to London Zoo. I was so excited walking up to the gate because I could not wait to see all the beautiful butterflies. The first animal I visited was the sloth. The sloth was furry and very soft. After that, I spotted a majestic, fierce lion and I felt so happy. Then we went to see the adorable penguins who were diving into the water. Finally, we saw the butterflies. I couldn't believe how bright and colourful they were. Laura. Okay, so I would just like you to pause video and discuss what features can you see in this example of a diary entry. Pause video now, please. Oh, okay, let's see how many you got then. So the first thing then, we need a date when we're writing a diary entry so that we know when the diary entry was written. It also starts with Dear Diary because it makes it really clear the type of text that you're writing. So you're going to be writing a diary, therefore we always start a diary with Dear Diary. You're going to be writing in first person, so you're going to be writing as a spider and you're going to be using I, for example, I saw or I heard, or my legs, for example, and that's how we use first person. So you're writing from the writing from the author's perspective. Okay. Past tense, so if you're writing a diary entry, it's already happened, so we're going to be using past tense, so words like walked, laughed, lots of the ed suffix that we've looked at lots this year. Adjectives, so that's why we looked at that in our starter then, because one of the really important things to use in a diary entry is to make it really interesting and describe the things that you've seen or things that you've done, and we're going to be using adjectives or describing words for that. So if we have a look in this example then, we've got the sloth was furry and very soft. So we've got furry and soft. We've also got majestic and fierce there, with some adjectives to describe the lion. Okay, just makes it much more interesting and gives us a better picture in our head when we're reading it, doesn't it? Okay, thoughts and feelings. This is a really important part of a diary entry. So this would probably be a little bit more boring, wouldn't it, if we just thought, I saw a majestic lion, I then saw the butterflies. It's really nice that actually we can see that the author, the person who's written this, is excited as they're walking up to the gate and they're really happy to see the lion. And they couldn't believe how bright and colourful they were. Okay, you can really see that the author has had a lovely day out here because they've included their thoughts and their feelings in the diary entry. Chronological order, so it's a long word, but that just means, doesn't it, that it's written in the right order. It wouldn't make sense if we put Dear Diary, I left the zoo, and then start talking about going up to the gates to go into the zoo. So we need to make sure it's in the order that the events have actually happened in real life. So she went up to the zoo, she went through the zoo, and then she left. Okay, so that's why it's all written in the order that she visited the animals in. Okay. And finally then, it needs to be signed by the writer. So the person who has written this diary entry is called Laura. So there she has put her name at the bottom. And that's really important so that we know who the diary entry was written by. Okay, well done. So your task today then. You are going to be creating a presentation. You need to present the features of a diary entry, but you can choose how you present it. So you can choose any different method, any different way of presenting this information, the features of a diary entry. But we're going to look at some examples then of how you might like to present it. Okay, these are just a few ideas. You don't have to use these. You can be as imaginative and as creative as you want with your presentation. But let's have a look at a few ways you could present it. So you could make a poster. You might like to make a mind map of the features of a diary entry. You might like to use the computer. I know lots of you are getting very creative, especially those of you at home, so you might like to use a computer to present this information. And a checklist, so this might be a really good way to present the information because that's something you might even like to use as you write your own diary entry next week. Okay, and a challenge then in your presentation is to include a top tip for someone writing a diary entry. So imagine someone has never written a diary entry before. What would your top tip be as people who have written a diary entry before? What would your top tip be for them? Okay, but before we do that, before you go and start, I would like you to have a little look through the steps to success, okay, to think about how you could structure your presentation. So you must identify the features of a diary entry and create a presentation. So you should all have a presentation by the end of the lesson. You should include an example of each feature in your presentation. So it might be really nice if you put that it's adjectives, so adjectives are a feature, that you give a few examples of adjectives you could include, or if you put thoughts and feelings as your one of the features, you might even write some of the feeling words, so happy or sad, for example, as an example. You could explain the features to an audience, so if someone in your audience isn't sure of what first person is, you might try and give an explanation of what that is. And you might, so your challenge from the previous slide then, you might write a top tip for someone writing a diary entry, okay? If you don't have room for that on your, the way you've presented it, you could do that verbally. You could just give them a top tip verbally to your audience, okay? So I would like you to pause video and create your presentation now, please. And remember, you can always go back to have a look at that example with the features. If you're struggling to remember all of them, you can always take the video back and have a look at those, that example and the features on there. Okay, pause the video now, please. Okay, well done. You have all worked really, really hard on your presentations, and it is now time to share your presentation about the features of a diary entry. Now, if you're in class, you're going to be presenting to the class. If you're at home, you might like to present to a grown-up, or you might even like to present it to someone over FaceTime. So if you have maybe a grandparent that you haven't seen in a little while, you might like to present your features of a diary entry to them. I'm sure they'd really like to see that. Okay, so we're going to pause the video and present your features of a diary entry and presentation now, please. So share your presentation. Pause video, please. Okay, well done. Just a little checklist then, so don't worry if you forgot some of these. But here are the features of a diary entry, and I want you just to look at your presentation and think about the presentation you gave, and did you manage to include any of these did you manage to include all of these features? And if you didn't, if you forgot one or two, what were they? And just have them in the back of your mind when you come to write your diary entry over the course of these 2 weeks. Okay, well done. So our plenary for today then. You've all worked really hard today, year 2. Tomorrow we are going to be reading this story. I'd like you to have a look at the front cover. So this is the front cover of the story. And I would like you to think, you're going to be making some predictions now. What do you think the story is about? Who do you think the characters might be in this story? And what do you think will happen in the story and why? Okay, so I'd like you to discuss this with your partner or a grown-up at home, and I would like you to make your predictions now, please. Okay, well done. Okay, I hope you've had a lovely, really enjoyed this lesson today, and hope you have a lovely day, year 2. Goodbye.